Now now we are going to start with the land resource, and this land resource comes under the chapter that is resource and development, and this is the part 2 of this chapter. And if you haven't watched part 1 of this chapter, then please go and check it out. Okay, so now we are going to start with land resource. Now, land is the most essential and most vital and most important resource that the human is dependent on. Land and water both are the most important resources, and if we won't have land, then we won't be able to survive. Like how we would be able to be kept into a particular place, like how would we be accommodating in a particular place. So land is a very basic, and land is the most essential resource that we need. Okay, so land resources in India. Now land resources are divided in 3 kinds in India, that is plain, plateau and mountains. Now plains are basically used for agricultural work and industrial purposes and residential purposes, and mountains that are used for forest purposes, for residential purposes, and also for the tourist purposes. Then plateaus are rich in minerals, and they have great amount of minerals, so they are used for mining and also for residential purposes. Okay, so the percentage distribution of the resources, types of land resources in India are 43%, that is plains. Plains are about 43% in our India. Then 30% are mountains and 27% are plateaus. So from this we can infer that agriculture and industry must be in a very vital way. Mountains, that is forests, are in low amount, and much lower, that is minerals are very deficient in the country. But then too, if we say that all the things are available in our country in a very specific manner, so land resources in our country are very in numerous kinds. Okay, then comes land use patterns in India. Now land use patterns depends on physical and human factors. Now what does physical factors mean? That is topography, we can say soil type, topography, those all things are known as the physical factors. And human factors are the way of using it. Like if we use it by technology, if we use it for cultural or traditional purpose, if we use for the economic purpose. So this is the human factors and physical factors. Now land use patterns according to the physical factors, that is topography. Now what is topography? The top graph of the soil, that is the main factor which is responsible for the land use. So if the soil is uneven, then we won't be using it for agriculture, and if the soil is straight, then we won't be using it for forestry. Okay, so yeah. And human factors are we can use technology on that land to mine something. We can use economic facilities to have some residential facilities over there. We can use it as a cultural or traditional factor by making it a lot of so this was about the land use pattern in India. Then comes land degradation and conservation. Now what do we mean by land degradation? Now land degradation means depletion in the quality of land, that is known as land degradation. And this decreasing of the quality of land is mainly due to deforestation, overgrazing, soil erosion, and other like use of fertilizers, more and more like extensive use of fertilizers and pesticides. Due to green revolution, it has been increased a lot. Over irrigation, these all things lead to the land degradation, that is depletion in the soil or land type or land kind. Then comes land conservation measures. Now land conservation measures, what are those measures by which we can conserve land? Firstly, the thing is that we need to use land in a very sustainable manner, that is in a very planned and systematic manner, so that that can be used for the future generation as well. Okay, so land conservation mainly depends on some factors, that is afforestation. Let's see over here: afforestation, decreasing overgrazing, building shelter belts, then reducing the movement of sand dunes, conserving the wastelands management, okay, and reducing the mining activities. And see, let me explain you these all things in a brief. Okay, now what is afforestation? Afforestation means planting trees or planting forest or building forest, we can say. Okay, so that would conserve soil erosion, and that's why the land would not be degraded. Okay, then comes overgrazing. Now by reducing the overgrazing, we can conserve our land resource. Then comes shelter belts. Now what do we mean by shelter belts? Now the soil is being irrigated. Now if that soil won't have those water holding capacities, then we can build a shelter belt by which the water won't flow away in different areas, and it would be absorbing in that particular land type. So yeah, building of shelter belts helps a lot. Then comes movement of sand dunes should be decreased. Now in sand also some trees and some plants are being planted. Now if these sands would move from one place to another, then it would create a great loss of plants and animals. So it is better that the sand dunes movement should be conserved by giving it more and more water, and by obviously constructing shelter belts. Okay, then comes wasteland management. Now what do we mean by wasteland management? Now if the piece of land is a wasteland, then we can try irrigate it, and we can try build something, like we can try grow something in it, and if that doesn't work, then we can build buildings on it instead of cutting forests. Okay, so wasteland management is very essential. Then comes mining. Now when we mine, or when anyone mines, then it would create a great deep hole on the land. Now that pits are not being covered in many places, and that huge pit would cause land degradation, as it would create imbalance in the land for like in the land settlement or land level. Okay, so yeah, this is what the mining causes in land degradation. So this was all about land resource, and there are some soil types left, explanation of soil types, and if you want that, please check out part 3 of the chapter, that is resource and development. I hope you like this video. Please give it a thumbs up. Also comment down if there are any suggestions. Share this video as much as possible. Subscribe to my channel and hit the bell icon so that you can get my latest updates. Thank you.